Don't take this as, oh, well, Hill does this, you know. Now, you have your unique needs, but we can boil it. You got to have a summary. You got to have an identification of what is the problem. Then you have to have a proposed solution for that problem. See, a problem is not a problem. It's just a solution looking for a happening. So what you got to do is make it happen. All right? So you're going to talk about that solution. You're going to talk about the financial impact. You know, what is it going to cost? That's the first thing they're going to say. How much? How much? And then the last thing is the consequence that if you don't act, if you don't respond to this, what is the consequence to your organization? All right? And then the last thing is any attachments. And again, the attachments, this can be your own generation of a spreadsheet, return on investment piece that you did, information from the various suppliers that you've kind of looked at and what their different equipment would do, maybe some samples of how it's going to improve the quality of the work. So, and maybe even some testimonials from other people that already have this, some of your peers. You know, a lot of, again, IPMA can help you get in contact with somebody that can give you some references, and so that you can use that to kind of load it for bear. All right. So the summary, to get back to it, is just real quick. What is the issue? And this issue I'm looking at Office of State Publishing, and what I need is I need a one-time expenditure of $10 million. Right? That's what I need. And how I came up with that and what it is when in the government, I have to go and get what they call a budget change proposal. It usually takes almost 2 years to get that process done. So I have to put it through the legislative and through the finance department, goes through multiple levels, to approve an allocation. I have an existing allocation as a state printer, but I needed more money. All right? And that's usually your case. You have a budget, and you go, wow, they only gave me $5,000 for equipment upgrade this year. That ain't going to make it. All right? So you sometimes have to reach out. In the history of the state printers from 1850, you see the history where they've gone through changes in technology. And we're definitely lagging with 1965 presses. All right? So we're lagging in the technology. We need to come up to speed. And back in history, it's boring, a little bit of history, but some of you may be as old as this dinosaur, and you remember having to do handset type. All right? I grew up in my dad's print shop, and he used to try to help me out. He'd send me to what they call a hell box. The hell box is where after the handset type was done, they throw it all into this box, the different workers. And it would just be loose type. And what you'd have to do is pick it up and say, oh, that's 24-point Roman, that's Gotti, you know, and that's, all right? And you'd have to put it back in the California job case. Right? So he was trying to help me.
You'd actually have to say that's a 24-point Gotti.
Yes. So I learned to be very dyslexic. All right, my P's were my D's and all this kind of stuff, and I was backwards to all get out when I went to school. But so the state printing office, believe it or not, they used to charge by lines of type that were hand sent. All right, and so in the early 1900s, the private sector went out there and said, "Hey, we can do it faster and cheaper," because they had this new thing called a linotype. So if anybody knows about hot lead and linotypes, they had this brand new machine called a linotype. And you didn't have to, you could just type it. And so you could do it for a third of the cost. So the competition thing, you know, so while the private sector can do it for this much, you know, how come the state printer can't do it for this much? So the state printer had to say, I need linotype machines, and I need better letterpress machines. So he went to the legislator and said, you know, in those days, I need $2 million, which was a lot of money in 1900, all right? And he had to get a special allocation of money to upgrade, because how could he either that or shut his doors? Either that or just that old word, outsource it. Because they were getting hit on the head saying, we can get it done cheaper. And the state printer said, yes, I can get it done cheaper because I got 1964 offset presses, all right? So I'm kind of in the same boat. I have so much money in my budget that's allocated to me. I need more money. So I think you all run into that. You have a budget, you have a fixed amount. What are you going to do? All right? So you're going to have to go out and ask for special allocations. And again, this may take you some time. But first you have to summarize what it is you're looking for. know, and again, make it a must. Not, you know, and you know what? Shoot a little high. Sometimes you shoot too low and they'll give you lower, all right? So shoot a little high, ask for what you think plus a little bit. Yeah. So the other thing is identification of the problem. So this is, you all have your unique situation, and we could, you know, just boil it down to one key thing, which is I'm having to compete with outsourcing. And the only way for me to really do this competitively in my shop is I've got to augment and I've got to add new automation to my operation, and that will create a lower cost, and that's the savings, right? So what you have to spell out is what's going on. In my case, we have a lot of things going on. We have some Senate bills going on that go into effect in 2015, and I'm trying to be prepared for that, where we go more electronic and less print. We're still going to print. I do over 5,000 bills a year, and have about 800 on the governor's desk. And every one of those bills may have 4 to 8 different versions. Every one of them I have to print. And now I got a big pile. Barbara saw my pile this morning. I've got this huge room full of all these bills, all these versions, all right? And the issue is, and we also have a similar thing over in the Capitol. If you go down in the basement of the Capitol, the bill room, talk to Lily there, or Nancy, and if you want a particular copy of a bill, they'll say, okay, let me get it, and they'll go around the corner, and they got this big old, okay, here it is, you know? Or, well, you know what, I don't have any more of those here, but it's over in the annex. Let me get Renee to drive over there and pick you one up and bring it back, all right? So we have all of this print, and we have usually like 2 years of volume, and then we dump it all, and we start all over again. And at the finish of whatever gets signed by the governor is a chapter, and it goes into a final case-bound book that goes into your libraries and goes in the Senate library, and various lobbyists buy it. So when it's all done, it's in a finished book. We do about maybe 500 of these. But here's what's happening. It's going electronic. And what I would rather have for Lily down in the bill room, or back at our operation over off of Richards, is, okay, just a minute, let me get onto this kiosk, or here, go on the computer, search the bill you want. You want AB 740 on union contracts, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, look it up. Wipe your card if you're going to charge for it. You get one free, the second one's $2-3. All right, swipe your card, zip. All right, we've just got a new system where we can take credit cards. Wow. Now can take credit cards in the bill room. Before then, it was cash or check only, please. Can you imagine in this time and age, you couldn't even take a credit card? I mean, so we finally, of course, it touched the IT, and we want data leaking. Yeah, so it took us 2 years to get it approved. All right, so, but we got it. But anyway, so wouldn't it be cool if they could just come in, look it up, pick one they want, and around the corner, thanks to one of our partners, maybe, it goes around and here it is, print it, print on demand. No longer do I have 20,000 square feet of printed bills, all right? Now I print on demand, it saves paper, it saves time, it saves a lot of energy, and quite honestly, each of these versions, when it goes into committee and then gets done again, it could just be electronic. If they want to print it, you know, it can have an app. If you're a lobbyist, I can sell you an app, so much per year like I sell you right now. Every morning, I'm packaging a bunch of envelopes that go to different agencies, like the Attorney General's office, but they also go to lobbyists that pay for the subscription to get copies of the bills, all right? Well, I'm just going to say, here's an app, and you can get it on your little phone, and you can send it to your own printer, all right? So I want to still be involved in it, and I may not be printing it anymore, but and quite honestly, by about 5 to 8 o'clock at night, all these bills are electronically already up there from the legislative data center. So here's my challenge, is I've got to have the equipment to print this on demand. And some of these bills, last week I had one bill that was 850 pages. All right? I had to print 1,000 of them. And I had to have it there by 8 o'clock in the morning. And they gave it to me at midnight. All right? So, you know how many plates, how many presses I had running to get that done? Not only 6-hole drills, all this kind of stuff. So, the point is, the new technology, the new inkjet, print on demand, all of that, that is the solution, all right? So what I'm sharing with them is by this investment, this is a must need because we're going smaller, smaller. It's already electronic. And with SB 1075, which in July 1 of 2015, it becomes authentication, electronic legal documents. And New York's already dealing with this. You know, there's a lot of states that are dealing with this where instead of people getting it on a printed form, which I want, they're getting it electronically. Right? How do you authenticate it? So that's one of the issues. So the truth of the matter is most people still want a printed copy. Whether they print it themselves, you give them the app to print it, permission to print it, or you print it on demand. Right? So new technology is part of it. So what is the financial impact of this? You know, so you go into what the investment is and what the return on investment, all right? The people that are going to okay your extended budget, what they want to know is how long is it going to take you to pay for this? And how are you going to pay for this? One of the things we have at Department of General Service is DGS Smart. It's a lease option where instead of spending millions of dollars on a piece of equipment, if we do it correctly and we buy it correctly, we can get a lease. And so the lease pays for the equipment, and it's a small expense. It's already in my rates, all right? So one of the ways that, you know, if they were to give me $10 million,